My mom told my kids I wasn't ready to be a parent, so now they think their grandma raised them, not me. I found out at the dinner table. My daughter Ava, who's 10, was telling a story about when she was a baby, and she said completely casually, well, grandma basically raised us when we were little because mom wasn't really ready to be a mom yet. I put my fork down. What did you say, sweetheart? And Ava, not sensing anything, repeated it like it was a known fact, like it was the sky being blue, water being wet, a thing everyone in the family simply understood. Grandma raised us at the beginning because you weren't ready. She told us. She told us. My mother has been telling my children a story about their own lives, a story in which I am a supporting character, a story in which she is the hero who stepped in to raise the babies I supposedly couldn't handle. Here's the actual truth, and I need to lay it out because the whole debate lives in the gap between what happened and what she's been narrating. I had Ava at 24. Young, yes. Scared, yes. My husband and I were broke and figuring it out, and my mom lived 20 minutes away, so she helped. She babysat when I worked. She came over when I had the flu. When my son Leo was born 2 years later and I had a rough recovery, a C-section that got infected, she stayed with us for 3 weeks and genuinely saved me. I will never not be grateful for those 3 weeks, but I raised my kids. I was there every single day. I did the 3 a.m. feedings. I did the fevers and the school forms and the packed lunches and the science projects and the I can't sleep mommy nights. My mom helped the way a grandmother helps. She did not raise my children. She assisted in raising my children, which is a completely different sentence. And somewhere over 10 years, she quietly upgraded her role. In the version she's been feeding my kids, I helped your mom became I raised you because your mom wasn't ready. She took the truth that she was there, that she helped a lot early on, and she bent it degree by degree until it pointed at me as the parent who couldn't cope and at her as the one who saved the day. I confronted her calmly at first. I said, Mom, Ava told me you said I wasn't ready to be a parent. And my mother said, without a flicker of guilt, well, you weren't really. You were a baby yourself. I did most of the heavy lifting those first few years. I don't know why we can't just be honest about that. Most of the heavy lifting. I stood there and felt 10 years of my own life get quietly deleted. I did the heavy lifting. I remember the weight of it in my actual arms. But she's been in that house, sometimes alone with the kids, for a decade, dropping little sentences. Your mom didn't know what she was doing back then, poor thing. I practically lived here. I raised you too. Somebody had to step up. And a child hears that enough times and it becomes their memory. Not because it happened, because grandma said it, and grandma is warm and gives cookies and would never lie. Here's where it splits, and here's why I've been up at night about it. Because there's a version of this where she's right, where my resistance to her story is my ego, where I was drowning at 24, and I've spent 10 years constructing a more flattering memory, and my mother is just the only person willing to say the unglamorous truth out loud. My husband, when I told him, went quiet in a way I didn't like, and then said, babe, she did do a lot those first 2 years, not taking her side, but not fully taking mine either. And that quiet has haunted me more than anything my mother said. What if I'm the unreliable narrator? What if she's not stealing my history? What if she's just remembering it without the soft lighting I've added? I actually sat with that. I went back through old photos, old texts, the calendar app I've kept since Ava was born, and here's what I found. My mom babysat on average about twice a week those first 2 years. Twice a week. That's a wonderful, generous grandmother. That is not raising them. The texts are all there. Me telling her the pediatrician updates, me coordinating her visits around my schedule, me thanking her for coming. The logistics of my children's lives ran through my phone, not hers. The evidence didn't support her story. It supported mine. I wasn't gaslighting myself. She'd been gaslighting my kids. But knowing I'm right didn't fix the actual problem. Because the problem isn't the past. The problem is that my 10-year-old genuinely believes her grandmother raised her. That's the damage. It's already done. It's in Ava's head as a load-bearing fact about who loves her and who showed up. So I didn't do the thing I wanted to do, which was blow up at my mom in front of everyone. That would just make me the angry defensive parent, which conveniently props up her whole narrative. See how she reacts? She can't handle the truth. If I raged, I'd prove her point. Instead, I sat down with my kids, both of them, and I didn't attack grandma. I said, I want to tell you about when you were babies, the real version, from the person who was there every single night. And I showed them the photos. Me, exhausted, holding newborn Leo at 3 a.m. Me at every birthday, every first day of school, every ER visit, and there were a few. I showed them the calendar. I said, grandma loves you so much, and she helped a lot, especially when Leo was born and mommy was very sick. That part is true, and I'll